Earth was not what you'd call thriving. In fact, it was teetering on the edge of total ecological collapse. The oceans were acidic soup bowls, forests were practically myths, and the air had the distinct flavor of burnt toast. Humanity, for all its intelligence, had failed at keeping its one and only habitable planet, well, habitable. But this wasn't the end of their story. Far from it. One fateful day, just as the last world leaders were discussing the possibility of mass asteroid relocation, because at this point anywhere was better than Earth, the skies darkened. An enormous lime-green spaceship, shaped like a lopsided teacup, appeared in orbit. Humanity held its collective breath. Was this salvation or annihilation? The ship broadcast a message in perfect English, albeit with a weird French accent. "Greetings, humans. This is Captain Bloop of the Globtalk Empire. We've come to save you. Please form an orderly line and prepare to be rescued." Naturally, chaos ensued. Some people celebrated, others rioted, and at least one enterprising billionaire tried to sell exclusive rights to Earth's remaining resources. Within hours, humanity was beamed aboard the alien vessel, most of them anyway. Those who refused to leave Earth were given coupons for future evacuation. They were the lucky ones. Captain Bloop was a small, gelatinous creature who looked like a jelly bean that had been left in the sun too long. Despite his squishy appearance, he radiated authority. Or at least he thought he did. Humanity wasn't so sure. "Humans," he began, addressing the crowd of bewildered evacuees. "You may be wondering why we've saved your species. The truth is, we owe you a debt. A very old, very significant debt." The crowd murmured. A debt? To humans? What could a gelatinous race possibly owe them? "As per the ancient galactic treaty of mutual assistance," Bloop explained, "we are obligated to repay this debt. In return for saving your pitiful existence, you will, of course, do something for us." The murmurs turned into full-blown shouting. People were demanding answers. What debt? What treaty? How did a civilization that barely invented Wi-Fi become part of a galactic pact? Bloop ignored the chaos and continued, his gelatinous form quivering with excitement. "Our records show that humans were once the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. Ruthless, strategic, and disturbingly lucky. You were the stuff of nightmares for millennia." He paused for dramatic effect. "And now we need you to be those nightmares again." As it turned out, the Globtalks and many other species had long believed that humans were an extinct race of legendary warriors. Stories of Earthlings defeating entire fleets with nothing but clever tricks, improvised weapons, and sheer luck were passed down through generations. They were like bedtime horror stories told to young alienlings. Behave, or the humans will come back. One of the more popular tales was about the Battle of the Bagels, where humans allegedly defeated a technologically superior force, using a combination of explosive pastries and caffeine-fueled frenzy. This was a gross misinterpretation of a morning rush hour in New York City. The Globtalks believed these myths to be true, so when they stumbled across Earth and its struggling inhabitants, they saw an opportunity. After all, the Globtalk Empire was on the brink of war with the Krexorians, a race of giant crab-like creatures who were as aggressive as they were hard-shelled. And who better to help win a galactic war than the most dangerous species in history? The Globtalks wasted no time preparing humanity for battle. They set up training facilities on one of their moons, equipping the humans with advanced weapons, armor, and other technologies they barely understood. The problem? Humans were terrible at following instructions. Why is it that every time I tell you to charge the plasma cannon, someone ends up pointing it at their own face? Bloop groaned during one training session. To be fair, the technology was confusing. One soldier, Private Jenkins, insisted the cannon's safety mechanism looked like a cup holder. He wasn't entirely wrong. Despite their incompetence with alien tech, humans had one major advantage: unpredictability. The same chaotic energy that made them terrible students also made them impossible to anticipate. During a simulated battle, a group of recruits managed to disable an entire Krexorian fleet by hacking into their communication system and broadcasting a loop of Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." Captain Bloop was baffled. This is genius, utter madness, but genius. When the time came for humanity to face the Krexorians, they were as ready as they'd ever be, which is to say, not at all. But the Krexorians didn't know that. To them, the mere mention of humans was enough to spark fear. The first battle took place on the barren planet of Gorlak 5. The Krexorians, expecting a disciplined and highly organized enemy, were utterly unprepared for what they encountered. A chaotic mob of humans armed with duct tape, repurposed alien tech, and an alarming number of Molotov cocktails. "What are they doing?" a Krexorian general demanded as he watched the humans charge across the battlefield, screaming incoherently and throwing flaming objects. They're human, sir," his lieutenant replied, as if that explained everything. And it did. The humans' unpredictability, combined with their knack for turning random objects into weapons, quickly turned the tide of the war. The Krexorians couldn't adapt to their tactics because there were no tactics. One particularly infamous maneuver involved convincing a Krexorian fleet to retreat by projecting a giant hologram of a cat. Apparently, Krexorians were deathly afraid of felines. As the war dragged on, it became clear that humanity's greatest asset wasn't their alleged combat prowess. It was their sheer stubbornness. No matter how dire the situation, humans refused to give up. They had a knack for surviving against all odds, whether it was by outsmarting their enemies or simply refusing to die. Captain Bloop, who had initially doubted the wisdom of recruiting humans, was now their biggest fan. "You are truly remarkable creatures," he admitted during a post-battle celebration. "Completely insane, but remarkable." The humans, for their part, were thriving in their new role. Sure, they missed Earth, mostly, but there was something exhilarating about being part of a galactic war. They were finally living up to the myths, and then some. The climax of the war came during the Battle of Zoganis Prime, a planet-sized fortress controlled by the Krexorians. The Globtoks and their allies had tried for years to breach its defenses, to no avail, but the humans had a plan so ridiculous that even Bloop was skeptical. "Let me get this straight," he said, addressing the human generals. "You want to infiltrate the fortress by pretending to surrender, then overpower their guards using inflatable ducks?" "Yes," General Ramirez replied confidently. "The ducks are a distraction." "To distract from what?" "The Trojan hot tub," Bloop stared at her. "You're insane." "Probably." The plan worked. Using a combination of inflatable decoys, unconventional sabotage, and sheer audacity, the humans managed to disable the fortress's defenses and capture its command center. The Krexorian leadership, thoroughly humiliated, had no choice but to surrender. With the Krexorian War over, humanity was hailed as heroes. Statues were erected in their honor, and their exploits became the stuff of legend. For the first time in centuries, humans had a purpose, and it wasn't just about survival. They had found their place in the galaxy. Captain Bloop, now a staunch advocate for humanity, addressed the Galactic Council. "Let it be known that the humans are not only our allies but our friends. They have proven themselves to be the most resilient, resourceful, and utterly insane species in the galaxy. And I, for one, am glad they're on our side." As for humanity, they embraced their new role as the galaxy's wild card. Sure, they were still figuring out how to use half the alien technology, and they occasionally caused interstellar incidents, like the time someone accidentally turned a moon into a disco ball. But they were finally thriving. Earth, meanwhile, remained a desolate wasteland, but humanity didn't mind. After all, who needed a planet when you had the stars? Centuries later, new myths would arise about the legendary humans. Stories of their fearless leaders, their unorthodox tactics, and their inexplicable obsession with inflatable ducks would be told across the galaxy. And who knows, this could even get the attention of a sleeping giant that none dare to wake. That story will have to wait till next time, my keen, avid listeners. And somewhere, in the ruins of Earth, a lone, duck-shaped decoy would float aimlessly in a pool of acid rain, a silent reminder of the species that refused to be forgotten.